What's up, y'all? It's the second episode of the All In podcast. Today, I got a special guest. The one and only Tyson Guy, leader, entrepreneur, investor, and my business partner. How you feeling today, Tyson?
Feeling good, bro. It's a pleasure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So yeah, y'all know on the All In podcast what we do. We chop it up with entrepreneurs. We chop it up with people and just get their story. I think this one is well overdue. Because my guy Tyson is a absolute beast, leader,
Appreciate it,
entrepreneur. I mean, all around the board, right? Just a great guy. You know what I mean?
Appreciate it.
So he got a story to tell, 100%. So I just want to, again, just bring that information to y'all, so that way we can add value. So my first question, Tyson.
Yes, sir.
So we all know you're a real estate GOAT, bro. I mean, how did you get started in real estate?
Man, that's a really long story, but I'm gonna take y'all back to my junior year in high school.
Yeah.
I found out about real estate through a YouTube video. Pretty much just trying to figure out what I'm gonna do with my life.
For sure.
So I looked up on YouTube things you could do to make six figures without going to college. And the first thing that I found out was just being a real estate agent, right? So found the first videos by this guy named Brian Casella. He was talking about how agents get paid and their commissions and stuff like that. And I just thought that was something I could do. So the first thing that I did was I reached out to my mom. I asked her, like, hey, what was the brokerage that sold us the house that we live in right now? And she told me Ebby Holiday. And then from there, I just searched around some brokerage in like rich neighborhoods. And I reached out to this guy named Cortland. And he kind of helped me from there. He told me I was too young to be a real estate agent, but he introduced me to real estate wholesaling. And he got me on the right track from there. So that's like the really simplified story, just being curious, but taking the action to figure out what I wanted to really do. So that was kind of like my introduction into real estate.
For sure. I mean, did you want to do real estate young, or is this kind of something you stumbled across?
Man, believe it or not, I get that question a lot. I wasn't one of those guys that wanted to be an entrepreneur, like growing up.
For sure.
I didn't even know what I really wanted to do. So I would say the answer would be no. It was just want to change my family situation. I didn't grow up necessarily with a lot of money. I didn't grow up wanting for anything either. My parents did a really great job, but I wanted more. So with that, I knew I had to find an opportunity that allowed me to do more. I had to get in that right vehicle to be able to provide. So, yeah.
Definitely. I mean, how do you think your upbringing influenced your success, just your overall like adult life? How did your upbringing like influence that?
Man, that influenced me a lot. Reason why I said that is because growing up, we was heavily into sports, so we was ultra competitive. And with real estate being a competitive industry, I feel like that played a lot into what we got going on now. So it's like when somebody says something's competitive in real estate, it's like a challenge, but I know we can overcome it. I feel like my dad, like my upbringing, just seeing him work hard, like that instilled like hard work into me.
Definitely.
Like my mom, like never give up type of mentality that she had, and like never complain spirit. I feel like my mom, like she was faced with probably a lot of challenges that she really don't talk about or we talked about before, but I just know, and she just never complained about it. So for me, even in real estate right now, I never complain about nothing. And my brother, like I look at my little brother as like kind of inspiration to as well. And I feel like with his like just relentlessness and his like never quit attitude and just him being himself, him being authentic, him not caring what people say influenced me as well. And my granny, I feel like she just helped me be the person who I am today. So I feel like all of it kind of helped me to where I am today, to be honest.
Definitely. Why you feel like tell us why your grandmother influenced you?
Um, she influenced me a lot. One, because I hung around her a lot, but she just taught me how to be overall a good person. And besides my dad and my parents, she just taught me how to be like a man. And she taught me right and wrong. And she gave me great advice. She was always an open ear when people weren't listening to me. Um, yeah, she was always there, and she was always supportive of me as well. So that's why I would say that.
For sure. I know you also talked about sports.
Yeah.
I know you played football at DeSoto High School, one of the top high schools in
Yeah.
Texas. How did that help you out? And 'cause like you said, real estate is competitive.
Yeah.
I mean, super competitive. We're in the most competitive markets
Yeah.
in the nation, Dallas Fort Worth Metro. So how did that competitive spirit, how did that sports overall influence your journey?
Man, believe it or not, it influenced a lot. But back then, I didn't realize what they were teaching us and how important it was. Like they always used to tell us about the little things. They used to always tell us about controlling the attitude, controlling our effort, hard work. But I just never took it serious. But what I realized was the things that they were teaching us then were just really helping us develop as men, like truly develop as men. But I would say, man, I learned a lot just looking back. And yeah, I learned a lot, bro.
Definitely. And I know we always talk, well, you always talk about the little things. Just kind of give y'all a backstory again. Me and Tyson, business partners. Probably like 2022, we got an office, and just being transparent, like a lot of people was late all the time, even myself. And Tyson was like, we can't keep doing the little things wrong. At that point in time, I really didn't think like the little things mattered. But really growing up and just being in business longer, like the little things are everything. And I feel like you super good at the little things. So you think sports kind of influenced that, like really nailing that down?
Yeah, 100%. Because I have plenty of examples where somebody may be walking in late, maybe 30 seconds late, maybe 1 minute late, but they gotta go run, they gotta go push a plate, they gotta do lunges, right?
For
I had
sure.
many examples where I seen somebody dressed out in the wrong attire. They gotta go run, they gotta do, because in order to be a successful and winning team, you gotta do the little things right, because we know the little things add up to the big things. So if you're not doing these little things right, you know when when it's game time, I can't expect you to stay on sides.
100%.
I can't expect you to do the big things right. So that's one of the things.
Absolutely. So tell me about, like you said, sports influence your journey, your family influence your journey. So once you hit up that guy, Cortland, and then he introduced you to real estate wholesaling,
Yeah.
what happened there? Like, when did you get your first deal? We can start there. When did you get your first deal?
Man, believe it or not, I know a lot of people tell their story and they take like months to get their first deal. For me, it was very quick. So from when I hit up Cortland to when I got my first deal, it all happened in about 2 weeks.
Sheesh.
One thing he told me to do was pretty much just drive for dollars. The strategy where you go around looking for vacant houses and stuff like that. So I decided to do that because that was the cheapest thing you could do. But I kind of took it to another level. I was like, man, I'm trying to get a deal now. So what I decided to do was put sticky notes on every homeowner door. And what I would do every day is pretty much put 100 sticky notes on 100 doors before I went home. And that led me to getting a call like within a few days from a lady who lived a few miles away from me. And we ended up getting a deal on the contract, locking it up, and I made $500 on that first deal.
Do you feel like that helped you out a lot, getting a deal in 2 weeks?
Man.
Or what you think?
I think that helped me out a lot. And it helped me out financially, but it helped me out with my mental. It helped me out realizing the proof of concept was there. Because we know that people tell their stories of them getting like $20,000 their first deal, $40,000, $10,000. I just knew it was possible from there. So it really didn't help my pockets per se, but it helped like my mindset. It helped me like realize I'm not even in my senior year of high school. So it's like I'm not even fully developed, and I just did that. Like they helped me with my confidence overall.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And tell the people, when did you start real estate? Like what age?
So I started real estate at 17 years old. So entering my senior year of high school, that's when I started real estate.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So once you got your first deal, you got proof of concept. What was your next thing? Like what happened next?
So the next thing, I actually took a little break from real estate because again I was going to my senior year. We had school, we had football, we had stuff going on, so I really couldn't focus in on it like that, like I wanted to. So once our football season was over, the second semester of high school, I kind of picked it back up. So I started doing the things that I did to get my first deal again. I started looking on Craigslist. I mean, I was looking on Zillow. I was just full, like, as soon as football season was over, I went straight into real estate, like, straight in, head down. I knew that's what I was going to do, so I was not going to wait on nobody.
For
So,
sure.
looking for deals. I don't think I closed any deals from there for, I want to say probably like 6 months. Really don't remember, but then I ended up getting my real estate license and tried to be a realtor thing, and that's kind of where it led me from there.
For sure. So I remember you telling me as well that you tried to do Airbnb. What happened with that?
Um, it just wasn't it just wasn't what I really wanted to do. It was one of those, what do we call it in real estate? Not golden nugget, but like those things where it's like not get rich quick.
Like kind of like shiny object.
Shiny object syndrome. I fell into that, thinking the numbers going to be really better than what they really were. So I just realized really quickly it wasn't going to pencil out like that.
You think if you would have stayed committed, you could have did something, or it just didn't make sense?
I don't think so. And you already know what's going on with Airbnb right now, like in Dallas, them shutting stuff down. So I think I made a really good decision at the time that I did, because I didn't want to scale that up into a lot of Airbnbs and they shut them down. And we have all those leases and monthly overhead to pay, and we can't really do nothing about it.
You feel like Airbnb overhyped?
I definitely think it's overhyped. I think it's great if you own the house, but if you don't own the house, you don't have no control over it. I don't think subleasing is the right way to go.
Why?
Because of the market, and I think people realize like the profit margins are the headache. I think it's just like a regular rental property. You're gonna have people trash the unit. You're gonna have people. You're gonna have it vacant for a while that people don't take it into consideration. So I just don't think the numbers don't pencil out, because you're already paying top dollar in market rent, and you got to re-rent it out monthly. I don't think that's gonna be great.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. For sure. And I know you, like you said, you was a realtor. Why
Yeah.
didn't you stay being a realtor?
Man, why didn't I stay being a realtor? I would say just around the people I was around. Nothing really bad. It was just, I was just trying to make money really quickly. And being a realtor is more of a long-term game. And it's all about relationships. And that's something I wasn't really focused on at that point. So for me, I know real estate wholesaling was the thing that you can get in and make a lot of money really quickly if you worked hard. So I wanted my fruits of my labor to pay up really quicker. So that's why I stopped being a realtor. And I didn't like showing houses like that. I didn't like being in control of people's buying decisions, people selling decisions. So I want to get in control of that. So that's why I stopped being a realtor so fast.
Definitely. So you think if you had to pick one or the other,
Yeah.
realtor or real estate investor, and why?
Man, what would I pick? I would pick real estate investor, obviously. The reason why I would pick that is because, again, more control. You have different exits, and you can make way more money. And that's just the truth, because whether that's you fixing and flipping the house, wholesaling the house, buying and hold the house, creative financing, sub two, you're going to make more than a realtor ever make on that transaction if you just wait long enough. So I would always pick investor over being a realtor.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. So do you think being an investor take more work than being a realtor?
Does being an investor take more work? No, because I think real estate is real estate. I think it all take work. I don't think so.
Definitely.
Actually, being in the business now, I would say it's almost easier than being a realtor, honestly. Because realtors got to sell their services all the time. They got to convince sellers to pay them 3%, and they got to. Yeah, I think it's a little bit probably easier being an investor because it's all about the numbers, and if it makes sense, like pull the trigger. So that's what I would say.
100%. 100%. So, like you said, going down, you got your first deal. Then 6 months later, you was a realtor. Then when did you close your next deal?
Okay, so when did I close my next deal? Um, I closed my next deal that I can remember in December 2018. So just graduated high school, got my real estate license in July. I didn't do a wholesale deal. I helped my cousin. He bought a house, and I represent him as the buyer's agent. And that's when I did my next transaction that made me some money. But after that, I didn't do my own individual deal in wholesale until we partner up. So I end up, of course, joining the acquisition company, and I closed deals from them. So I'm pretty sure shortly after that I closed some deals, but I just can't remember them.
How many deals did you close being an acquisition manager?
Being an acquisition manager for that company, I would say I probably closed probably like 40 deals under my belt, maybe more, but I'm just gonna say 40.
For sure. For sure. Yeah, I know y'all was doing 6 figures too.
Yeah.
And you was the only acquisition. What type of marketing was y'all doing?
So we was just heavily focusing on cold call marketing. We wasn't really diverse into anything too special. We just had in-house cold callers, and we just had them calling in the office, and that's all we focused on. We probably did a little direct mail, a little text here and there, but the most consistent thing was cold call, cold call, cold call.
Definitely. Why do you feel like? Because I know a lot of people try to get into sales,
Yeah,
try to be an acquisition manager,
yeah.
and I know you had like a ton of success. What separated you from other acquisition managers, or just what separated you, like being like top 1% of acquisition managers? What you think separates
I would
you?
just say work ethic, 100%. I just made up in my mind that nobody was gonna be better than me, and I made a commitment that I said that, hey, you may be more talented than me. You may be able to talk sellers better than me. You maybe can handle objections better than me, but it's like you're not gonna outwork me. I'm gonna show up earlier than you. I'm gonna leave after than you. I'm gonna call the leads more than you. So I think that's what really separated me. And then I really liked the business. So I knew I wanted to do real estate for the rest of my life. So I was like, I really indulged myself into learning everything it needed to be about real estate. So I think I had an upper hand because I actually wanted to learn about it as well. Whereas some acquisitions nowadays, they just want to get the sales, but I actually like the business. It wasn't just another sales job for me. This is something I could see myself doing. So that's what really separated myself.
Definitely. So it sounds like pretty much the small things still separated you, what you
Yeah.
learned from your upbringing.
Yeah.
And I think he really said something like work ethic / passion or plus passion is a recipe for success.
Yeah.
You have work ethic, you have passion, you can accomplish anything that you want in life because, again, you go put in the work and you care about it. I think a lot of people, especially in sales, I mean, we own a company as well. We know that, or we've seen, if you're really not passionate about real estate, it's easy for you to fall off. Because real estate is just up and down. Like,
It's up and down. Yeah.
you can have a 10K month and have a 2K month, then have a 3K month, then have a 9K month, then have a 0 month for
Yeah.
2 months, then have a 15K month. So a lot of people can't go through those ebbs and flows of basically really any sales job. Because I feel like any sales job gonna be like that.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you're trying to get into sales in real estate, you need to be passionate about it because this shit is honestly gruesome.
Yeah.
And only the people that go put in 100% gonna succeed, right? So that's one thing I'll say is just, again, passion plus work ethic equals success, right? My pops always tell me it ain't about can do, it's about want to. So you can do something, but if you don't want to do it, if you're not gonna put in the effort, the work ethic, then it don't matter. So yeah, so I feel like that was pretty much them. So I know, I mean, you closed at 40 deals with that company. Then what pretty much led you into entrepreneurship?
To pretty much us partner up.
Pretty much.
Just really growth. I wanted to grow in a different way. I wanted to not necessarily make more money. I just wanted to grow. I want to do something a little different. And that's what really took me to that direction of starting entrepreneurship, because I knew I had all the experience. I was confident in my abilities. And I was young. I didn't want to live with no regrets as well. So that's why I decided to take the leap of faith. I wanted to grow. I didn't want to have no regrets when I got older. And I really just believed in myself. That's what I would say.
Got you. So was being an entrepreneur, would you say it was harder than being like an acquisition manager?
Yeah, 100%. Because acquisition manager, you have everything there for you, and you only focus on one thing. So anybody that's in the acquisition seat is like, all you focusing on is locking up sellers. All you focus on is acquiring the deals. Versus being a business owner, you gotta focus on like a lot of other stuff. You gotta focus on whole operation. You gotta focus on growing it, building it, being a leader, finances. And now that's talking if you don't have a team members under you. But just starting out, you're gonna have to play all those roles, wear all those hats. So yeah, I definitely would say being an entrepreneur is definitely harder than being an acquisition.
So why do you think so many people like? I know you did it, but do you think it's smart for like people to straight go to acquisition to entrepreneurship? Do you think it's smart?
Not for everybody, because everybody don't have the mindset to be an entrepreneur, or people are not set up in the right circumstances. I think for us, we were really blessed that we still were like living with our parents and we didn't have no responsibilities and we could save a lot of money. Whereas other people that have families and they might not be as risk taking as us. So that's what I would say. I think that's the reason, yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, because I see a lot of people going from acquisition to trying to start their own stuff, and I agree with you pretty much. It makes sense for like I agree for the right person,
And just to add on top of that, I think a lot of people do that as well. Of course, mainly people do that because of like the money, but people don't realize that you're gonna have bad months in entrepreneurship, so they don't be prepared to like, okay, not close a deal, but still spend the money in marketing and keep doing that over and over again. So that's why I say it's not for everybody, because what's gonna end up happening is somebody gonna close a deal, they're gonna blow it on something stupid, and they're gonna spend money in marketing, not get a deal, and now they faced with a tough decision. They gotta pay their rent, or they gotta put that money back into marketing. And most people, that's where they quit, and that's where they give up. So that's why I say it's not always good for everybody. Some people it is. Even some older people is good for if you have the right mindset. I think it's great for if you have the right mindset, but if you don't have the right mindset, then it's not gonna be good.
Definitely. So when we partnered up, bro, I mean, I know we had a hell of a run. I mean, in 7 months, what was the number we did in 7 months?
We did like 492, something like that.
Definitely. What you think contributed to that? I mean, and we were 18 and 19 at that moment.
18, 19, yep.
I made 492,000. What do you think contributed to that?
Man, at that time, I would just say work ethic, man. I would say that and number one, God. I think
Absolutely.
He truly blessed us. And he was truly like covering us, bro. That's what I would say. Like, cause to do that at a young age, that's not common. Truly not common. And I just say that to say, cause I'm just thinking about like, I was talking to my nana the other day, and she was telling me about the house that she stayed in when she was younger, and I ended up looking it up, and the house was like a 1-bed, 1-bath house, 500 square feet with about like 10 kids in there.
Jeez.
You know, so coming from that, it's like my granny probably never seen 500,000 like across her whole work career. You know, so I would say God definitely just blessed us and had His hand over us, and then we just worked hard for Him, and we didn't make no excuses, and we sacrificed. We lived below our means, and yeah, we just had a dream, bro.
Definitely. I mean, I agree, and I feel like one thing that helped us as well is just giving,
Yep.
like just betting on God and just giving, right? So I think if you're an entrepreneur, like you gotta give. Like we recommend tithing, just because, like God gonna give it back. Like when you trust God, when you test Him, right? Because in the Bible it says test Him, right? When it comes to that, so I think another thing that we had well is just giving, giving, and just being a resource for people, like people we knew,
Yep.
putting them on, people we knew, helping them out, and just helping out our overall family. So I think that that was also a contributing factor.
It was.
Contributing factor, definitely. So I know as well. So that was like 2022 that we did that.
Yep.
2021. I know we. How many deals do you think we closed in 2021?
So that was 2020 when we did that.
Yeah.
In 2021, we had to double it. So I know we hit shy under $1 million that year. So we probably did like 50 some deals, I would say.
For sure. So pretty much, what is the number one thing you would give somebody or tell somebody, like building a company, like when trying to go from like 450 to a million or shy of a million? I think we touched a million, but let's say shy of a million, a million. What do you feel like you would tell somebody when trying to go from basically make $1 million in a year through business?
Oh, that's a great question. Honestly, I'm just gonna come back to say it's just like I think you should be focusing on the things that you're really good at. So focusing on your strengths. I think me and Jalen, one thing that we did really well was we just focused on acquisitions. We wasn't really focused too much on like the dispo side, finding buyers. We were just fully involved in like finding properties deeply discounted from sellers, and just trying to wholesale them. So I would say the things that's gonna get you to $1 million is just focusing on your strengths and working really, really hard at that, and going really, really hard at working on your strengths. That's what I would say.
Definitely. Yeah, I think people. I mean, we will all fall short of
Yeah.
that, but I think, of course, acquisition and dispo is important, but
Yeah.
you got to really put one emphasis over the other
Yeah.
to really like be successful
Yeah.
in this industry, right? I mean, yeah, you have to. You
Yeah.
have to. Like you said, I feel like that's one thing we did well is just prioritize acquisition. We wasn't trying to pretty much do everything at one time.
Yeah. And
Pretty much.
and I would say that's why companies like New Western, Network, the Realty, they're really big is because they focus on what they're good at. New Western focuses on dispositions. So they put a huge emphasis on that and they play to their strengths and do what they're really good at. Disposition, dispo. That's all they do. Even though they have acquisition guys getting the deals, it's just like they got a heavy emphasis on that. And I feel like that's what we did. We just put a heavy emphasis on that. So this side would be super easy, you know.
Definitely, definitely. So, when building a real estate company, like, what do you? I know we had our ups and downs with it. What can you tell the people, like, hey, when trying to scale a company, like, avoid this, or when trying to get to six figures in real estate, what's people to avoid? What's people look out for? Because we know, I mean, we had a lot of ups and downs. So, what would you give people to pretty much like, hey, look out for this if you're trying to scale?
I would say a few things is shiny object syndrome. So don't always fall for the next big thing or the next lead generation tool or the next trick or the trade. Like realize everything works. You just got to put the effort into it. You got to master it. I think you pick one marketing channel and really learn it. I think a lot of people don't really take the time to do that. But you really got to learn these marketing channels. Because a lot of people that get into real estate, they didn't have no marketing background. They didn't go to college for marketing. So I feel like if you really learn how to market to people and pick one of those channels to get good at, you'll be successful. So don't fall for any new shiny objects, any new lead generation tools. I would just focus on that. And number two, I would say don't scale too fast. Don't scale too fast. Take your time and really develop because I promise you, you're not the leader that you think you are to get to where you want to go. I would say even for us, like being 18, 19 years old, making that a lot of money, thinking we could just double our revenue, it just wasn't going to happen like that. Because we had to hire people, we had to get talent, we had to learn how to train, we had to learn how to onboard people, manage people, lead people. Like, you're not that person yet. So just take time to develop your leadership skills, your management skills, and yeah, that's what I would say. So don't scale up too fast. You don't have to scale up too fast. Just keep grinding, keep working. I would say that. And then, what would I say? Don't scale up too fast. And, I don't know, what would you say?
I would say that's pretty much the biggest thing. Like, you got to focus on leadership. A lot of people in real estate think, okay, I'm gonna up my marketing budget, so I should expect more revenue. Hell no. Like, you cannot think like that. And you got to be ready to take some losses, like, especially when you're trying to scale and when you're delegating. Like, it ain't gonna be like you're calling sellers. You have other people that's probably newer, 1-2 months in. When you've been doing it for 4 or 5 years, you could probably do a lot better than them. So you gotta have a lot of cash saved up. Be looking at the market. I feel that's another thing we didn't do the best. Like, look what the market at in terms of interest rates and the overall market as a whole. Looking at competitors, competition. I feel like, but the biggest thing is being ready and preparation. I think preparation is huge. If you didn't prepare, you prepared to fail.
Yeah.
100%. And we wasn't really that prepared like that. So, and like I said, you got to be aggressive but not reckless.
Yeah.
And we were reckless in trying to scale the company, right? And again, you live and you learn, and then you got to be committed to scaling, because it ain't gonna be like, oh, 6 months I'm gonna scale. You got to learn how to scale. You got to learn what you got to look out for. You got to learn how to be a leader. You got to know how to influence people. You have to know how to persuade people. You have to know how to build momentum.
Yep.
You have to learn so many other attributes than just calling a seller. Like, calling a seller, doing it yourself is way easier than having a team, having a squad.
Yep.
Because it's a different skill set. Real estate, like calling sellers, negotiating sales, is definitely a different skill set than scaling the company, than leading people, influence people, finding talent, training. There's just a whole lot of stuff.
Not facts.
And it's gonna take time. Like, it might take you 2-3 years to really learn, get the right people in the right seats, get the proper system, get all that in place. It's probably gonna take you a while. It's probably gonna take you a while, because like we said earlier, everybody's not built for real estate. So you really have to find people that's passionate about real estate. I mean, because you can't really like sales guys are cool, but you have to find somebody who like, okay, I want to do this for the next 20-30 years.
Yeah, I agree with that. Or as you're going to just have a lot of turnover. When you hire people and it's all about the money, they're not going to be there that long. Because if you can't get them paid, they don't believe in your vision, they don't believe in what you got going, they just going to leave. So they got to be passionate about what you got going, what you building, your vision, your culture. Like, y'all got to tie in.
100%. So, another question I was going to ask is pretty much, I mean, I know you close like a lot of deals.
Mm-hmm.
Give us one tip on closing a direct or seller deal that you would, or closing a deal with a seller. What would you give to people?
Man, I would say keep it simple. And then I would also just say have a great sales process. One company that I would recommend anyone going through acquisition training is Tiffany and Josh Training. They really helped me identify a great sales process to talk to sellers with. So I would just say have a great sales process, and one thing out of that sales process is just learn psychology, learn how people think, learn how people make decisions, how people react. And if you really learn that, I think you have all the tools you need to be successful with sales, because that's really all I think it is psychology. So if you learn psychology, you'll be solid. That's what I'll say.
For sure. Give the people one tip on being a leader.
Being a great leader, that's a great question. one thing that I feel like I had to learn, because I feel like with us being young, we did have shiny object syndrome. We wanted to just get to our goals really quickly. So anything we seen that could do it, we always just pull the trigger and may throw us off our goals. So I would just say prioritize and execute. Keep the main thing the main thing. So for any leaders out there, I would just say really prioritize what's the main thing you got to get done and work your way down. Everything may seem like it's important, but it's truly not. So pick the most important things, work your way down, and knock it off one by one. So I would say that. And what else I would say about leader? I would just say that's all I would say right now.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And how hard is entrepreneurship, bro? Because, like, I think people try to get in this and think it's sweet. I think even, like, people try to lead companies and they're not really ready for it.
Yeah.
How hard is it mentally being an entrepreneur?
Man, it's really hard. So when I say hard, it's like people don't realize that they working 40 hours now, that you can expect to work double with less return, with no guarantee you're gonna make it in no guaranteed time. So if you're not prepared to do that, if you're not prepared to work double the time with less pay, with no guarantee return for, I don't know, months, years, you might as well not even do it. Don't waste your time, because it's gonna pay off in the end, but it takes time. So entrepreneurship is very, very hard. Very hard, yeah.
Definitely. Tyson, what's the most you ever made on one deal?
Most I made on one deal was we had a 90 grand KD deal, I want to say. It was a wholesale deal out in Houston that we had got. I believe seller wanted 190 on it. We ended up assigning it for about 280,000. It was a cold call lead, follow up. That she wanted to sell, we assigned it. We made 90 grand on it, closed up pretty quickly. So I would say 90 grand is the most that I could think of right now. Yeah.
How does it feel like getting a big ass payday, like 90 grand? I think didn't you close another 90 grand deal, like two?
No, so the next big one I closed was 80. I closed a couple 50. But man, I mean, it feels, so at that time, it's just like we kind of used to it. So it didn't feel different. And then also, we had a lot of expenses. So it was just like, it didn't even feel like exciting. It's just like kind of a sigh of release that you could pay your expenses. It's like, that's what we needed. So it wasn't even like, hey, I'm excited about the ball out. It's like, dang, we can just pay our bills. So that's how I felt. Yeah.
What you feel like the first check hit harder? Like when you made 500 grand, did that check hit harder when you made 90,000? What check hit harder?
What check hit harder? I mean, I think the one that I would say really opened my eyes is, you probably don't even remember this, but when we closed that Frazier deal, I think that was like our first 20 or 30K fee. I think that's when that hit different, because that was the first time me actually getting that amount of money. Yeah, and had that amount of money in my account. So yeah.
So when you closed the 20K deal the first time, it hit harder than a $90,000 deal?
Yeah.
Definitely. What so Tyson, tell me about what you doing next, bro. I mean, you 23, you had a lot of success. I mean, what is one of your biggest goals in life, and what do you got next? Like, you had a lot of success. What you got to just leave next, bro?
Man, we just taking this company to the roof, man. We want to be one of the biggest buying and selling companies in Texas, and we just going to execute that to 100%. So we just going up, man. We're trying to be one of the biggest disposition companies, all around real estate companies as well. That's what we got up our sleeve. We just trying to focus heavily on relationships and scale it like that, man. That's what I'll say.
100%. Well, yeah, man. I mean, that's pretty much all I had. Appreciate you for coming out.
Appreciate you, bro. Thank you.
Sir. And thank you for giving the people this knowledge, this expertise. Appreciate you, bro.
All right, bro. Appreciate it. Let's go.
Yes,
All right, bro.
how long was it? That was like
with the other one.